Welcome back to the Ginger Joe Racing Show. We have an esteemed TFL. I'm not going to I'm going to call him the finish line anymore. I'm going to call him the TFL since everyone on Twitter called him the TFL. Mr. Sean Dunne, welcome back to the channel. It's an
Thanks.
absolute privilege to have you. Is it a privilege that you're here?
Jay rolling out the red carpet for me like I'm someone special. Don't worry.
Uh,
I'm not special around town. But yeah, good to be back, Jay. And anything National Hunt, just to take our minds off that flat stuff for an hour or two will be great.
Fantastic. Sir Tipster, fresh from an 18th month Dermotwell, good thing at Leopardstown. Fair play. How are you?
Yes, much better after that. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I don't. But I am looking forward to talking some proper jumps racing. I am missing it, but yeah, I'm in a bit of a purple patch, so very happy. Thank you.
Proud as punch with his Oddschecker top on him. Joe, who never comes out of a hat, Strawberry Ginge. How are things, Joe?
I'm good, mate. I'm
What's the
good.
story?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Looking forward to talking some jumps racing. Get us back in the mood a little bit. I am enjoying the flat. It's hard to be quite as enthusiastic, isn't it, at the same time? So look, let's get stuck into it. Really, really look forward to talking Cheltenham and yeah, look, always enjoy being on with the boys, don't we?
Right, I'm going to go a bit random off the cuff. We'll start at the start of the season. I always say the start of the season is down royal. Is it, in your opinion, an absolute waste of time? Gordon, you had a benefit show. Why doesn't Willie Mullins turn up there? And we start off with a mayor who was very keen on she's debut at Downright. Brighter days ahead. We'll discuss. Were you disappointed with her? She went on to win the Morgana after Down Royal, sorry. Are you disappointed the way she finished up at the end of the season? And where do you think she'll go next year? With our esteemed guest, Sean Dunne, I'm going to put you on the spot. Brighter days ahead. Talk to me.
Right days ahead, Jay. I'd say doesn't like Cheltenham, and no matter where she goes at the festival next year, I wouldn't be on side. That's 2 years in a row now, and this year was very, very poor. I know they've said they've come out and had issues, but she just didn't look at it from the get-go. The worry was King of Kingsfield going to set a pace, and not once did Jack scream to say, let's start moving. And once she was up the tail of him with nowhere to go, you're in big trouble early on. So, bright days ahead for me. I think, unfortunately, Big Show won't ever win at the Cheltenham Festival. I just don't think she likes around that place. And saying that she was going over fences last year and that didn't happen, I'd be worried about how she jumps a fence. So maybe that's not even going to fix it this season, and she could remain over hurdles. So bright days ahead for me this season will not be a horse that I'll be following.
I remember, Sean, a very, very shrewd judge telling you that potentially her breeding didn't like Cheltenham and the fact that she potentially didn't like the tracks. You remember who that was?
I do indeed. And you know what? You listen to these people, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he talks a bit of sense.
He talks a bit
yeah.
of sense afterwards when it
After,
happens.
yeah. When you
This
have
was
one,
before. Yeah.
There's no after boom in there.
Go on, so Mr. Tipstar, were you disappointed with her? She won the Morgana, beating Statement that day afterwards, and then she rocked up in a fantastic performance, Leopardstown, and went on to the champion hurdle. Should she had a run before at the DRF? And was she undercooked, or is it Cheltenham out the bag? Where do you think she'll go next year?
Yeah, back to your first point, Jamie. I find it interesting. Obviously, we all get excited come October time for the start of the jump season. But Willie Mullins doesn't. His season almost runs from December, pushing January, doesn't it, through to April time. And I think therefore other trainers in Ireland have to kind of plot around that and then send more runners to the various other meetings. And you do end up, like you say, with a Gordon Elliott kind of benefit factor there. Then Gordon doesn't send any to the DRF, which is slightly disappointing and dilutes the competitiveness, but it's just the way it's been over the last few years. Brighter days ahead, I think they may go chasing with her. I wasn't overly disappointed with her at any time until Cheltenham. I just think perhaps they probably struggle to get her back into a similar position physically as primed as she was for obviously that day at Christmas when she was absolutely unbelievable.
Did they ever document the issues that they said they found after Cheltenham with Brighter Days Ahead, or are they just saying they found an issue, they've sorted it? Is that what would pretty much get him?
Yeah, I don't think there was. Well, I didn't see anything documented. There was nothing reported, and it was all home reports that they were working out that. But look, let's be honest. When you run disappointing,
Seasickness, that's what it was.
When you run disappointing like that,
Don't like boats.
Yeah, you're gonna point to something, aren't you? Like you're not just gonna let her run that sort of race when she barely gets up the hill walking. Like you have to point to something at that stage.
Do you reckon they're gonna try or start the season potentially with a chasing campaign? It's quite obvious she doesn't score well, but now that she probably doesn't act around Cheltenham, and the fact that we probably know she doesn't have the speed now to beat Lossiemouth, if you want to try and compare their two runs on the same day, yes, they're over two different trips, but if they got to just try and send her chasing now, you never know. A year older might make a bit of difference. She might mature.
What worried me most was they pulled up stumps before they even got to a track last year, which tells you it must have been pretty
Yeah,
bad,
true.
whatever
Fine.
happened on the schooling ground. Because they made the decision quite early on, and she didn't even get a chance to go to a beginner chase or anything like
Yeah.
that to learn. So it would worry me. And then I worry, have the I don't know what that Leopardstown race is taking now, but sometimes these horses run a race of a lifetime and you just can't get them back. And what she done that day, let's be honest,
Yeah.
let's not beat around the bush, was unbelievable. What she done out in Leopardstown, or maybe they just stick to left-handed tracks next season and
Yeah,
they sort of.
Like Aintree, she won at Aintree obviously the season before. She was mustard there. She travelled well. She jumped all right, and she seemed much more happy. If you go back and anyone who backed Brighter Days Ahead on the day at Cheltenham, like I did, you weren't happy sort of halfway around. You could see the niggles were going to start coming from Jack Kennedy quite early. You don't want a horse to have to come off the bridle that soon in a champion hurdle, especially when they got the tactics wrong by obviously King of Kingsford not being able to go fast enough perhaps to suit the gallop. So she's a bit of a mystery now, isn't she? But on the whole,
I would say is in a day and age where trainers and owners and connections dodge and go for the
yeah,
easier route, I do think it's slightly commendable. I say that through gritted teeth that the O'Learys decided to have a go at the
yeah,
champion. We want to see more of that, don't we?
yeah. Well pointed out actually because we, like you said, Liam, I am as well quite quick to critic on things like that. But yeah, fair play. We got the race that we wanted to see, and look, even Golden Ace, the winner that day, fortune favors the brave. She went for the champion hurdle. Things happen. This is racing. There's no guarantee. But fair play. They got the win. All right, Lossiemouth went on and won that mares, didn't she? But yeah, look, bright days ahead for me, James. She's an absolute mystery. I don't know what you think.
I know exactly the race she's going to win next year, and it won't be at Cheltenham. It'll be the same race that Spindleberry won on Grand National weekend. Hint,
Uh,
hint, the Mayor's Chase winner next year is Spindleberry. But we move on straight away to the November meeting, to the Enigma himself, who wins Slur Chases but can't win at the Cheltenham Festival. John Bon. Joe, we'll go to John Bon with you because you're Mr. Marine, William Money,
yeah, yeah,
Aaron Connor,
yeah.
whatever. Grazia de Tay. How many horses now does he have? Yeah. Mr. Barry Ginge O'Connell. Uh, Talk to me. What would you do with Chambon? Would you take on Marine National
Well,
again?
I'd say don't forget Barry also had a winner on the flat the other day. So just
Who
remember
cares?
that
It's
as
not the
well.
flat show.
Anyway, yeah, look, John Bond, in all seriousness, it's just disappointing, isn't it? To me, I don't know if I think he's a 2 miler or a 2.5 miler. It might just be the fact that he's 5% short of where he really needs to be considered a top class animal. Okay, that's probably a little bit harsh. He's what's he rated? 168, something around there. He's hardly a poor horse, is he? But he's just not very like tactically versatile anymore as well. I just feel he does look genuinely, and it's quite easy to write off horses. He looks to me like he's just a little bit past his prime now. And it's not going to get any easier for him to win a race. I do think if him and Marine again went round Cheltenham, they both jumped well, they wouldn't be far apart, whatever happens. So, he's still a very, very good horse. But, I'd would I consider sending him up in trip? It depends what JP wants to do, I guess. He's got Madgeborough, Factor File, and all the rest of it, hasn't he? So, yeah, look, it was an underwhelming season for John Bond, but it's hard to say that with any strong clarity when he's a multiple group grade one winner every single season. So, we got like a massive John Bond fan in here, or are we all sort of singing off the same sort of hymn sheet with him, Mike?
I'm a massive fan of John Bon. I backed him for a race already, but we'll move on to that afterwards.
Okay.
Liam,
Um, yeah, I was there that day at the October meeting, and he looked to me as if he didn't want to go an extra yard whatsoever. I know it was his first race of the season; he was entitled to improve for it. But Boot Hill gave him a bit of a race. He was probably only just doing enough anyhow, John Bond. But yeah, obviously he then got battered, didn't he, at the back end of the season. It'll be interesting, given the fact that he did step up in trip at Aintree. and obviously won there. As to whether they'll go down that route again, JP is still yet to win the champion chase. So whether he throws 2 darts at it next season, with Majbur obviously stepping up into open company, who knows? But obviously Majbur looks like he probably wants to go further as well, doesn't he?
Sean, what would you do with him? I know what would you do him. I think he needs 3 miles. I think he's another Shishkin. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't say you're wrong, Jay. I would say, look, he's 9 going 10 this season. As Joe touched on, he has gone to the well a fair few times. He's knocked around in Supremes, he's knocked around in Arkles, and he's knocked around champion chases now, and he just can't get the head in front. I don't know what the Cheltenham Festival jinx is whatsoever. I just can't work him out. He just somehow manages to throw in a stinker anytime he's around there. I've seen someone compare it, and maybe it's the first time you look at the English division in the 2 miles. It's the first time he's ever put to the metal and he's put under pressure. He tends to dictate his own way around Sandowns, Ascots, and stuff like that. And it's the first time he's gone lickety split down the fences, and all of a sudden he's to sort himself out and he can't think about it. And he made a poor mistake. He's jumped poor in the Arkle, he's jumped poor again in the champion chase. I just think going that grade 1 pace over 2 miles up and down Cheltenham just catches him out. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, every horse doesn't act around there. We just talked about Brighter Days Ahead, who doesn't look like she acts around there either. But he goes to all these other tracks and mops up grade 1s. I just think the 2 mile division, I don't know what state Sergino's going to come back in. We might touch on him at some stage. God knows how he's going to come back. But outside of that, you'd be worried about what's coming into that 2 mile division. You can just see him going the same races again, racing the same old characters, and all of a sudden having 3 or 4 wins going into Cheltenham.
It's interesting what you said there, Jamie, about stepping up in trip, because I place-laid John Bond thinking that going at that pace, he potentially might clout one. And when he did clout one, my pocket was screaming, pull him up, Nico, pull him up. It was similar to El Fabiolo the year before, when Townend did pull out El Fabiolo. But obviously he didn't. And to your point, he stayed on really well, didn't he, to the line to finish. Where did he finish ultimately? Second behind Marine Nationale. So yeah, you might be onto something. I went from thinking that he definitely didn't want to go up in trip, but I think you might be right.
Yeah, I've actually backed him twice. I backed him at 25s and 33s for the King George. Hopefully, Nicky will answer my prayer. The next question, lads. All these grade 2s at Cheltenham in October, November, like the likes of Potter, Charm, Vallegrand. I'm going to be hypocritical or be very harsh. Are they just a waste of time when it comes to Cheltenham?
Well,
in March, Joe is starting already. Go on, Joe.
So, I mean, they shouldn't be a problem. There's no issue with having the races, but if you're looking at sort of recent results and how they're panning out, they're not really working out with any strength or depth, are they? But the problem is we've got graded races at Cheltenham in October, November, December, twice in January. Then we get to March. It's like Potter's Charm had ran 5 times, hadn't he, before it even got to January? I know he won the Formby in the race at Cheltenham as well.
One in October, we won at Worcester in September.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, sure. Well, there we go. Even further back, September. I made a point before he got beat by 6 Mile Bridge at Cheltenham that it looked to be a run too far too soon. I got a fair bit of stick about it, to be fair, but it turns out that might well have been the case. And then you heard, obviously, the Twist and Davis one say, "Oh, he wasn't ready," and the other one saying, "Oh, we're just going to." I just don't know what to think about it. Like, just don't think he's as good as what we think. He's going to go down the chasing route that we see every single year with the British novices, and he might be a decent enough horse, but yeah, I don't class him as a top tier animal myself.
Liam, am I being harsh?
No, I don't think you are, but I think the quality of the fields, Jamie, mean that they're just graded races in name. You look at the likes of Valgrand, and it's used as a stepping stone to get into between a particular point in the handicap. So then he can go and run in the Martin Pipe, for example, or a horse in the County Hurdle. Country Mile being another one of Skelton's who probably would have plotted on a similar path. Yeah, I just think there's just a lack of depth, isn't there, in terms of graded quality. So there probably is perhaps a little bit too much of it. If you could try and force horses down particular paths to make it more competitive during the main bulk of the season so that it's not completely Cheltenham centric. I know that's difficult, and here we are ourselves as fans, and we've said the C word how many times already. But it is the be all and end all, and it's what we all love. But ultimately, Jamie, I think there's probably a lack of depth in terms of the quality in that division, and they're just graded races in name.
Sean?
Yeah, look, Joe hit it on the head. I think trainers can make hay early on, and Willie Twiston Davis and Nigel Twiston Davis aren't silly men. And I think Potter's Charm is the prime example of it. Now they get these horses out early, they can rack up a streak of ones, winning poor enough. Like, let's be honest, what of your big novice hurdlers is going to be ready the first week in November to run in a graded race, hadn't won its maiden? Slim pickings, very slim pickings. And if they are, they shouldn't be out that early because they're not going to be able to continue on throughout the season. I think your likes of Potter's Charm can get to Christmas. Fair play to him. He went and won the Formby when the half decent horses start coming into it. But then you seen him tail off towards the back of it. And they sort of make hay early on with him. And then all of a sudden you have four grade ones beside the name and four grade wins beside his name. And you're like, oh, you need to pay big attention to this lad. But when you strip it back and look, I think for me, that October meeting would need to be cleaned up a hell of a lot. And even November, like I just think if you want these races competitive, you strip back that October meeting. No horse is going to be ready at the end of October for graded races, no novice hurdle, novice chases, any of those. And then you try and get them to November, where it even is a bit early. Like we have the Royal Bond over here at the start of December. Like that's sort of like the pick of the where you'd say, right, you should maybe have horses that have outwon a maiden hurdle in November. The weather's sort of changed, you're getting a bit softer ground. So I just think with that, I think the graded races early on the season in your October and November meeting, always I think you need to be taken with a pinch of salt. And I think Potter's Charm, and look, I don't know them all off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you went through, there's horses that have racked up wins, and all of a sudden people are getting excited about
Yeah.
Ballymore's or the festival.
Yeah.
And
There was
the
loads, like there was loads.
yeah,
You got your Celtic Dinos, you got that Miami Magic, and all sorts of that road less travelled. Look really smart, winning two or three in a row. As soon as they lose one, they're gone. It's like they get them too hyped up too quickly, and I think that's a big issue as well for them the following season too. You don't want to chuck all your eggs in one basket for a novice campaign. You want to leave a little bit to work on, don't you? But like this is the thing with Potter's Charm now. I'm like, well, where's this improvement coming from? You've absolutely sent him into the war zone as a novice hurdler, and he's struggled the further it's gone on. They've got to keep him fresh now next year, in my opinion. They'd have to run him in a novice chase somewhere, maybe then try him over Christmas and then save him for Cheltenham. They can't go. Just feels you don't see any of Willie Muddin's horses going to Cheltenham after 5 or 6 runs, do you really? And
No.
yeah, no, and this the thing. Like you can't have run 5 times and get
no,
there and
no,
be improving. You know what I'm saying? Like I know Willie gets stick thrown at him for having two little runs. Maybe two is not as people aren't happy with two, but you can see the progression they're making where Potter's Charm has gone boom, got to
yeah,
Christmas, and then from after Christmas it's gone down. Now look, they probably see the opportunity and say he's not going to be good enough come March time, so we'll make hay early. But I just think it is important for people to realize. I just see so much hype and people get excited after not seeing jumps racing for so long,
mm,
and all
mm.
of a sudden Potter's Charm is like 6 to 1 favourite for a Ballymore,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
you look at that now and you say to yourself, how on earth did that ever happen? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I think the most mistake that Cheltenham made is that why would they move the grade 2 2 miler from the November meeting to the October meeting?
yeah,
And Potter's Charms want both from 2 miles to 2.5. I understand that it might be a stepping stone to 2.5, but I think that was a complete utter bad move.
What
We
are you
move on
saying?
to this
You,
Saturday of November. There's a few horses. I'm conscious that we might be spending too long on
okay,
November.
okay, fine.
East India Dock won, Lou the Sud won, and a horse that I like, a Paddy Toomey, Sholin won the bumper. In a couple of words each, lads. East India Dock, Lou the Sud, Sholin. I think I'll start with Sholin. I think Sholin might be a nice mare's novice hurdle for next year, but I think she might not be good enough. East India Dock, where would you go on Lou the Stud? Are they in no man's land when it comes to next year, Sean?
yeah. East India Doc, I'd never have him turning that Formula Lamba now. I think the Triumph
Mm.
was his chance to do it, and that's where he was ahead of the bunch. He was a flat horse coming back, and you've seen he's gone back and he's won the Chester Cup. So I don't know if he's going to cut it at the top level, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be following him down champion hurdle routes. Shaw Lane, they done very well to win the entry bumper. She just looks at tad bit keen, and they might end up back on the flat and maybe not jumping. But look, if she settles, she could be something. And Lotus Sud, he was probably the best one to come out of that meeting, wasn't he? Went on to finish third in the Arkle, and he was good. Again, that campaign of having a handicap hurdler, Dan Skelton coming back in him, you've seen him do with a couple of horses now. An extra season and handicaps have done them well, and
Mhm.
he's made hay with them early on. So maybe a thing to keep an eye on for this season.
Joe?
Yeah, look, get East India Dock on the flat, pick up a handicap somewhere. Probably good enough to run in a Group 3, to be honest. Sort of similar to like Burdett Road. I wouldn't want to be suggesting him as a champion hurdle horse by any means. I don't see where the improvement comes from, but he'll be plenty competitive in races. I don't like sort of just saying, oh, he reminds me of Burdett Road, for example, because they run in the same colours, but he is very much similar in the fact that two versatile horses, got plenty of speed, jump well enough. Burdett Road didn't, but he does now. And they'll win races, but I wouldn't really get excited about Sholin, for example, or any of the others there. So yeah, I've never been a big fan of East India Dock myself, to be honest, Jay.
Liam?
I was really taken by East India Doc. I think I was more impressed on his second performance at Cheltenham, which I think was on trials day, which I'm sure you'll touch on anyway, Jay. Lotus Sud, I do just question whether perhaps he's just a little bit of a better horse the fresher he is. And I think if he's perhaps campaigned a little bit more sparingly than he was last season, he did turn up on kind of, 5, 6 occasions, which I know isn't an awful lot for a national hunt horse. It's probably the amount of times we want to be seeing them. But if he was given a bit of a, not suggesting a Tiupu type campaign where we only see him twice a season, but if he was used a little bit more sparingly, did he need to go to Warwick, for example? Not so sure. I think
That ruined it, didn't it? That really did seem like, sometimes you go, oh, does it, or is that not going to take out of him? But he was finding nothing late on, was he? It wasn't idling, he was knackered.
And he was tanking through the race in the Arkle.
Yeah.
He was travelling one of the best, wasn't he? And as you say, Joe, he just didn't find, did he, at all up the hill? And he had devoured it on previous occasions. So yeah, I think perhaps if Dan Skelton could go back in time, he probably would have campaigned him a little bit differently.
Are they going to send him to the champion chase, by the way, do we all think?
Oh, yeah.
Depends how the Mr. Handicapper decides to drop him 10 pounds.
Oh,
You catch him
okay.
in a grand annual.
Grand annual, yeah. Liam, on that point, with the lack of depth in Ireland over 2 miles, Bar Marie National, would he be a decent bet? And would you take a price on him to win a Tingle Creek, Ludas said?
That's not a bad shout. No, I wouldn't. Though, no. I still do think John Bond will stay at 2 miles. I still do think that John Bond will turn up against, as we just mentioned, familiar faces.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would take the price on Lotus Sud. No. Depends what price he is. If he's 100 to 1, I'll have a bit, Jamie.
Yeah. We're near the 100. But anyway, the next point I'd make, exactly what Joe kind of said about all the 2.5 mile grade twos. We're there earlier in the year, and I tipped Iridoto to win the Paddy Power Gold Cup. Gemarand wins the December Gold Cup. Then you have a New Year's Day Gold Cup. You have this. You have the bloody plate. You have the novice handicap. The same distance, same boring crap every year. In my opinion, it's getting boring. Is it time to shake up the program? Exactly what Sean kind of touched on there about strip October off, get rid of it. What's your opinion on that? Is it the same boring crap that we're looking at handicappers who have no potential to win one race and just turn up every time? Sean, we'll go to you. You think it's a waste of time?
Yeah, well, some of the early on ones, Jay, I think you scrap them or you move them.
Mm-hmm.
As in, November is the first one, and then maybe you have one in December, and then you have one in like the trials day. That's sort of like, I feel like you don't need October if you have November, and if you have a December one, why are we, even where you're touching on the 2.5 mile handicap, like that sequence of races, bananas in my opinion. You've basically 4 or 5 the exact same races every month, and it's just dilutes it all. You end up getting to the 4th and 5th one, and you're like, sure, who's going to decide to run today, or who wants to run to themselves today? Because you have a Cheltenham Festival in a month's time or a 6 weeks time, and then you have horses that are going to go there. So I think the program needs adjusting in terms of maybe our meetings on too early in the season, and can we push them forward so that we get better quality of horses, and can we less the diluting of the races and start making quality. If it means you only have a 2-day card, it doesn't matter. Scrap 3 days, or if it's only a 1-day card, make it one good day rather than 12 diluted races across 2 days where I know you're getting 2 times the amount of people through the stalls, but what's it really going to be worth when you have 6 runner races, or you have a handicap that's same horses going 5 times in a row, so I think that's what, if it can be looked at in that way of improving it and maybe changing dates, I think that could be a first starter for some of these meetings. They could be pushed to a later date where you have better horses out, higher quality, and therefore you hope that the quality of the races improve and you don't have 4 runner races and a couple of races across them.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that, Sean. I think they should flip November into December
Yeah.
and make it or turn it around, and I think be more competitive towards Christmas. But then you're into Christmas. You're a couple of weeks before Christmas, so you can't win really. To be honest with you, Liam, what do you think on that? All
But
boring. Sorry,
sorry,
go on.
Jay,
Yeah,
but
Sean. Yeah, go on.
just one thing I'll just say on that, like, as in you see in Ireland, they moved the John Durkin and they
Yeah.
moved the Morgiana and put them together. It can be done. You just need a bit of willingness and you need a bit of nous. You need to think, where can this suit best? That's at the start of December. You have 3 weeks to Christmas then. And like maybe the horses that are running and that aren't campaigned at Christmas and it could be
Mhm.
after Christmas that they're looking at something else. So I think if you just use that head, put it together, and they could get adjustments that will work.
Liam, what do you think?
I think sadly the IHRB have a lot more structure, power, and influence over the schedule in Ireland, whereas the BHA don't. And I think there's a lot of self-interest over here in the UK to be able to actually bring people together and have constructive, decent conversations with positive outcomes for the sport as a whole. I don't think the sport as a whole is in everybody's interest, which is very sad. One thing I would suggest, back to the racing rather than talk about the politics of it, is with regards, why don't they make it a qualifying series for the plate in March? If you go, they're evidently not going to change it. That may then also make the field sizes different. We won't just have Gemaron, Fugitive, Il Ridoto, Ginny's Destiny turning up each week. We'll then get horses from Ireland potentially coming over to them running these qualifiers. We make so many positions, automatic qualifiers for the plate, and then the rest of the places, the rest of the field is made up based upon the handicap or something like that. Or alternatively, to kind of restructure it. I think if we're honest, we're not going to get an awful lot of restructure. But just an idea, perhaps you create it in a similar way that the Pertemps is done for the play come March.
And you know what, Liam, that's a great show because they done that with the Pertemps this year to win you're in, and
Yeah,
as much as you want to say it stops the fiddling about. You can no longer fall into fourth place and still get yourself in. So you're up against it. You nearly have to run good one race and show your hand at least once in that season to say you're going to get in or you carry your mark. So probably qualifying, like as you said, a bit like the Pertemps wouldn't be a bad show.
still got to hit a certain mark though to get in the Pertemps, haven't you? Like
Yeah.
American Sniper, I think won the first one at Newbury. I quite fancied him, and he got in, I think, for the very last pound because I think it was because Franciscan Rock ended up running in the stay, and so did the Wall Park as well. I think that's what sort of happened there. But yeah. I don't mind the structure though, boys. I must be honest, the October, November, December, but you need more variety of races, handicaps, hurdles, graded races, different trips. It's boring seeing the same trips all the time, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a small bit controversial then. A couple of weeks later, you have a Betfair Chase in Haydock. Now, for me, what I would do, no offense to Haydock, because it's such a slog, it's very hard for, look, to be honest, I thought it ruined Grey Dawn. I would move the Betfair Chase to Cheltenham in November, get people in,
Oh, that's such a good idea. That's
good
such a
people in, and get people coming to Cheltenham more on the Saturday or the Sunday. I put it on the Sunday because I was there with Joe on the Sunday in Greatwood Day, and I'd say I could see the ploughed field over the top of Cleve Hill. So there was nobody there. Like, do you know what I mean? I think they have to do something that way. And look, Betfair Chase is Haydock Day, and look, I'm being harsh on Haydock, but 99.9999% it's going to be bottomless ground. Royal Pagay, it's a specialist track. Won it again.
Would you change the trip of it, Jay, to the Gold Cup trip so it's a genuine trial for the Gold Cup?
I would, yeah. And I get rid of it out of here.
well,
That's just me.
At Haydock.
No,
They'd be more than legless.
A welfare issue, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's only a furlong less than the Gold Cup through the Haydock, and they're
I
like
know. It's just the fact how
walking trees as they're coming home. But
they finished legless. You wouldn't want to go no further, would you?
is it the time to do something with that in coincides with Cheltenham, Liam? Get rid of the Betfair Chase. Get rid of this bonus that never happens.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That the Betfair Chase King George Gold Cup, you're never going to see it again. And I don't think we'll see it for a long time.
No, it's a very good point. The schedule needs reducing, and what the BHA could do is remove licenses from racetracks. That is the power that they have. I'm not suggesting they should do that. Haydock, I read the article at the start of last season. Again, we want to talk about the stars of the sport, not the politics of it. But that's ultimately what needs to happen. But then they need to repurpose those racetracks so that racing still continues, whether it be in a point-to-point form, some sort of feeder form for the professional game. But yeah, Their racing needs to be reduced. Whether you take that away from Haydock, I'm not sure. I don't think I want to see everything that's at the top of the game all at one track, Jamie. I think I do like the variety of different tests. We know that it's a slog at Haydock, and then you'd be taking the opportunity away from horses like Royal Pagaille, who absolutely excel in those conditions. And there'll be more of those horses to come in time, I would have thought. So I like the variety and the variation of tracks and tests.
John?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad show, Jay. I see your point. It's hardly a top grade one that's producing horses every season. It's a specialist niche. Bristol de Moy just comes to mind straight away. Bog ground, jump around, and we'll go through it. In terms of cleaning it up and making proper quality grade one races, I do see a point of taking it out of Haydock, and maybe moving it to a November meeting. Not everything, as Liam said, has to be around Cheltenham, but I just feel like that Haydock, you're just never gonna get nice ground. I just never ever
The
failed to
only
see
time there was
horse
nice ground, a Gold Cup winner won it.
a Plutarch. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't think that race and where it's positioned as well. Like it's that time of the year where you don't really want a horse. You need to have a horse fit going to Haydock because you can't just run in that heavy ground not fit, and then you're risking leaving your whole season. And as you've touched on, I think Grey Dawn and left absolutely everything in Haydock. And sure, what's that worth when you've left your whole season in November and you've nowhere you can't reproduce that because the horses
In
just
return
went.
to Kelso in February.
You know,
Or, sorry, to King George, where he couldn't run. Couldn't
yeah,
lift
you
the
know,
leg.
Yeah.
that's the knock-on effect then.
Joe, what would you do?
Yeah, look, it's a bit out of my speciality, if I've even got one at all, to be honest. But I think the problem with it is that
You
it's
struggle beyond 2 miles, right, Joe?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I haven't got the stamina any further. But
Uh,
look, if you say there's a lot of things that need to happen. It's where the races are held, how many are held, where the prize money actually goes to lead horses to the right. There's so much that needs to be juggled. The problem is we only make minimal changes at a time, and then it's hard to get to that bigger picture that we just keep talking about it every single season. Really, we're going to have more Cheltenham changes, I'm sure, again this year as well. So it's just yeah, there's too much that needs changing probably that goes past my expertise anyway, that's for sure.
right, we move on to probably the best spectacular Grade 1 that in the middle of the season happened at Punchestown, over 2.5 miles. The movement of the John Durkin is actually reaped the rewards. And the winner was Fact Defied. Splans Tower was second. Third was the Great Gallopin de Champ. And fourth was a horse that I hopefully next year will come back to be a bit decent again. The horse that I fell in love with, winning Punchestown Gold Cup, beating Gallopin de Champ, was Fast or Slow. What a race. What would you do with all four? I'm going to be very technical in here. For all four. Sean Dunne, talk to me.
Eh,
Fact Defied.
Is in regards to is in
Dim
regards to Cheltenham though?
regards to Cheltenham,
Right.
end of the year, where's the early season targets? Fact to file, the 2 mile, burst their bubble, or would you give him another go?
Yeah, look, he didn't obviously clearly didn't raise a gallop at Punchestown and was beaten early on. So I'd be harsh to say he doesn't go 2 miles, but like I'd love to see him have another go. But no doubt, I think he'll go John Dorgan, and then he'll start there, guaranteed. I think you have him going there. He'll either. I think it depends a lot on galloping. If you get soft ground at Christmas, 2 miles might be tried again because I just feel like that's if you're gonna get him, that's where you'll find out if he's gonna do it or not. He loves it around Leopardstown, left-handed. He pings everything down the back there and he bullies races. And then I'd say that'll dictate a lot. If I put my hand on my heart now, I'd say you'd probably end up in a Ryanair this season. I'd say you more than likely go down that route. You had second Spillane Tower. I just think it's going to fall maybe a little bit short, or he's going to be that 2.5 mile horse. I think he falls a little bit short at the 3 mile top grade one end. And look, he ran a cracker here, and he mightn't have travelled well when he went over to Kempton at Christmas. I know he finished down the field there. He mightn't have went over that well. I said they were talking about he lost a lot of weight, but he came back at Punchestown, and he was convincingly put in his place by Gallopin the Champ. Touching on him, he follows his route. He turns up the Doken, goes to Christmas, goes to Dublin Racing Festival, and touch wood, you might get a bit of rain next March, and
Hmm.
we might be able to get that third win. I know it's not in a row, but we might be able to get them 3 Gold Cups. I won't be giving up on him. I think he showed plenty of zest at Punchestown. He went down to the start, and you just knew it was game on. He had plenty of rain in his hands. He had to look up the gate going past the second time, and he just put them to bed to remind everyone. It's when you doubt him most he taps you on the shoulder and says, "Lads, don't be worried about me. I'll have you all." So he's continued on his flag. And then, as you touched on, Jay, you fast or slow. I don't know how bad the injury was to him, but he's to come back in the mix as well. Don't forget, he went off favourite on full sure, didn't he, for that, John
Yep.
Duncan?
Yeah.
He's well supported on the day. So you're gonna have him to throw into the mix of a Gold Cup. Obviously, he was going very well, but unfortunately came down in this Gold Cup and won at Punchestown, beating Gallup in the Champ. So if him coming back in, I think it's pretty exciting. But I can see Factor Foil sticking to that 2.5 mile. I don't think the Gold Cup is going to be his forte. And what's the point in messing around? You see him what he done, devastating. He wasn't a Ryanair. He was unbelievable. He jumped and pulled up, and that's his niche. Bit like Allaho, that 2.5 mile just wasn't that top 3 miler, but he could hammer everything over 2.5 miles.
It's true. Liam, what do you think?
Chuck a Ryanair in the bin. That's what I think. Because it comes to something when the most engrossing and thrilling, most competitive race that we have in the staying kind of chase division was the first race of the season. And then we didn't see the front four all reoppose at any point later in the season. Spillane Tower skipped the meeting. Factor File goes for the Ryanair. I get Sean's point on Allaho. There would have been a year that Allaho definitely could have potentially come forward and been competitive in a Gold Cup. The way that he blew those fields away in the Ryanair, and it will just be a case of we'll never know. And I know that Willie Mullins had album photo around the same time, but I suppose the kind of the to dare to dream has gone a little bit in this game, and it's more about picking up winners, and that's the fault of all of the options that are open, especially when it comes to those 4 days in March. It's too much skipping. People talking about, well, you'd rather win than a second in the Gold Cup. Well, what about trying to win the Gold Cup? How about we go down that route instead? And I think if we had a little bit more ambition, we'd have a much better spectacle and we'd thoroughly enjoy it a lot more. Factify will go back to the Ryanair. Spillane Tower will more than likely skip the meeting, stay. I think they prefer him going right-handed. I can't wait to see Gallopin come back next year. I hope he can do a quarter and be the second to only ever regain the Gold Cup, and hopefully Fast or Slow's fit and well and can come back next season, because he'll be a great addition back into this stay and chase division.
Joe?
Yeah, I'd struggle to see Fast or Slow coming back to where he'd need to be now. He is 9 going on 10, I'm pretty sure now. He only had one run this season. Straight away he was injured. We haven't seen him since. You know, it's hard to win anything when you're a 10-year-old at Cheltenham, and you know, for him to come back and beat the likes. So I know the way you're thinking, who's unexposed, improving. You've still got Galopan. I don't see where that improvement comes from. He might run in the Durkin if he's fitting well, but he'd be one I'd be letting go now. I mean, you, Jay, we were massive fans of him, weren't we? To be honest, at one point. So, yeah, Galopan. I'd love to see him come back and get his title. I believe it's possible with him as well. I'd be quite quick to write off again older horses, but there's something pretty special about him, and who's going to come and take that off him, I'm not sure, to be honest. He's just relentless, especially when he has that little bit of cut in the ground. At the DRF, he was just unbelievable. He went off, set his own gallop. Paul pulled him back to let the others come in, and then he found a second win and just pulled away. It was just devastating stuff. Factify, he just goes to the Ryanair. Why would you take him out of that race and risk him elsewhere when you know he's the best in the division? There's clearly nothing around at the moment as good as him over that trip as well. So there's no way he sways the Ryanair for me. I know we're not talking about Madgebury yet, but that is why Madgebury stays in the 2 mile division and goes towards the champion chase.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Joe. I think Mars will stay at 2 miles. Yeah, he just can't go right-handed. He needs to go left-handed. I think they'll all turn up in the Durkin again, hopefully. Factifile, I think Factifile will go Durkin, Ascot Chase this year. Stick him at 2.5 miles. Hopefully he skips the King George, because I have a funny feeling they might forget about Galloping at Leopardstown this year. My theory on Gallopin de Champ is the jockeys want to kick up the arse, because if you give him a soft lead, he's just going to beat everything. And he was found out at Cheltenham when he didn't get soft leads on better ground. But obviously, bit of cutter than ground. He is a great horse, there's no doubt about it. But even with soft ground this year, if you take Gallopin de Champ on, you're going to beat him, and you're going to beat him well, like I know the way you're thinking, beat him well. Splane's Tower will stay in Ireland, and I hope Faster Slow comes back first time out and wins the John Durkin. But anyway, we'll move on to the Royal Band meeting. There's a question I'm going to say here that needs to be ironed up, like being political. The stupid rule we have in Ireland that a horse like Toon Surveyor, who's running around handicaps, beats Romeo Cooley in the Royal Bond, which they degraded the Royal Bond, that Marine National beat Irish Point in a Grade 1 to a Grade 2. We have Hartwood running in a race that he shouldn't be in a Drinmore against Firefox and Gorgeous Tom. And then we have Tupu running against Lassymoot in bog ground, boring, slow run races. And they both, Tupu then doesn't turn up till Cheltenham. But we'll start with the Royal Bond, Toon Surveyor, Romeo Coolio. Is it just too early to convince yourself? I know exactly what I said. Marine National went on to win a Supreme. Is it too early to think that they're Supreme horses when it comes to Royal Bond, Joe?
Not too sure. I mean, it's down to a Grade 2 now, isn't it? As well, the Royal Bond and sort of proved to be one as well. Well, proved to be a Grade 2 this year because Tunes of it went up and he was a handicapper for the rest of his season, wasn't he? Yeah, I didn't really enjoy that meeting this year, James. Obviously, I've enjoyed it a lot previously, even not just because Marine National won, but it was a good field. Like we said, Irish Point. We even had Ashrow Diamond and some other good horses in the race as well. Didn't really enjoy that meeting at all. Not really much to add to that, to be honest. I was disappointed with Romeo Coolio this year, but I am a big fan of the horse, and I'm really hoping that he becomes a good novice chaser. And if we go back to maybe even his bumper days, he was always going to be a horse that would be, well, that you'd hope to excel over fences as well. So I'd say there's no lost cause there with Romeo Coolio going forward as well.
Sean, what do you think? Should that be all scrapped? That they shouldn't be left being in novice races in the end of December? The likes of
Yeah,
Hartwood and Toon Surveyor and all these horses.
yeah, you wouldn't want to be explaining that rule to anyone that doesn't know
Yeah,
horse racing, would you? All of a sudden, a novice can still run as a novice the next season.
yeah,
Gets a bit complicated. I'd say knock that definitely on the head. We've seen it the last 2 seasons. There's been horses rocking up to the Drinmore. Oya Maximus won of the season before,
yeah.
and you've Hartwood this season going in. I just don't understand the rules carrying over. The races, look, I think they're there. It's not the lad's fault that Willie isn't turning up and hasn't got his horses ready. Henry de Bromhead, Gordon Elliott tend to have horses for the Drinmore. Gordon Elliott definitely has horses for the Royal Bond after being at Down Royal. So I wouldn't be knocking it, but they were right to take it away from that Grade 1 level. I don't think it's producing where it perhaps was beforehand. So the Grade 2 I would keep on it, but it's one of them. If you get beaten in the Royal Bond, you're sort of busting your bubble early, aren't you? A bit
Mm.
like Romeo Coolio. I
Yeah,
think a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. True.
He was sort of on the back foot. So it's a bold move going there, but I think it's a tidy enough meeting. You've made hurdles and stuff around it, but I do think the Grade 2 is deserved for the Royal Bond. And yeah, if you're asking me, I'll be getting rid of that second season. I was half. And I think it ends on the Monday or something, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it's literally one day
Yeah, it's
after.
the Monday, yeah, because it spilled over to December this year, and they let it happen, which
Yeah,
the Christmas. The way I look at it as well, I would demote them all to Grade 2, to be honest with you.
yeah.
It's gone to that stage now because the only reason I think they're leaving the novices in because they want a bit of field size to it, and no, I
Should
think
have not even getting that. The four or
they're
five
not even
runner
get
fields.
four runner Hatton's Graces. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's too close to the Morgan anyway, so it always
yeah,
was.
that's the thing, and I think but even with the Hattons Graves, like you had honeysuckles and all those that sort
Yeah,
of turned up, where
Classical
uh,
Dream. Yeah,
yeah, we're not really in a. You wouldn't say we have a bag full of two and a
golden
half
era.
mile.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
we're like you've Lossiemouth turning up, and what ended up happening, as you said, it was a walk around and it turned
Yeah,
into a sprint. So
yeah.
small fields again, that's sort of damaging what it is.
Liam, what do you think is the meeting of the whole, and were you happy with it? I wasn't happy with it this year. Last
No, generally I do enjoy the meeting, similar to what Joe said. I just recall the Drinmore as well, how slowly run and uncompetitive it was for a graded race.
Broke Park and one.
I think potentially towards the back end of the season when they are going proper championship pace in graded races, it's almost a bit of a shock to the system. And I think we saw that with
Croke
our own
Park.
eyes with the amount of fallers from the Cheltenham Festival
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the poor jumping in both spheres, hurdles and fences. But yeah, I don't. It's just a bit of a meh kind of meeting this
Mm.
year. Hopefully, it's a little bit better in the season to come. But yeah, I was very hopeful of Romeo Coolio, and yeah, I certainly wouldn't lose faith seeing him go over a fence.
Right, we'll stick in Ireland. We kind of go Christmas DRF because it's all kind of the same horses anyway, regardless, right? DRF, I suppose the standout horse for me was obviously a horse that I fell in love with. It started when Romeo Coolio last in the Royal Band was Kopek de Board, who beat Carnique, was it? I think,
Yeah.
wasn't it? The great one. Um, to be honest with you, I was happy. It won a thing. Obviously, bombed out of Punchestown. I wasn't really happy with the way he won the Supreme. I'm being very critical. I thought he'd go way further than William Money, and Romeo Cooley was third. Where would you go with next season, Liam? Do you think he's the number one standout for the Arkle to take on Lulemba?
Uh, yes, I think he more than likely is. Obviously bombed out Punchestown, didn't he?
Mm.
But yeah, I think he is. I wouldn't be so sure about Lallamba going chasing and the sort of ability that potentially he'll hold as a novice chaser, obviously given his age and what history tells us. It'll be interesting to see him. I'm kind of on the fence. I think you can forgive him that run at Punchestown, but yeah, he looks the most likely one from William Mullins. He was ultra impressive at the DRF, wasn't he? And yeah, he certainly impressed me anyway.
Joe, soft ground, better light compared to the quicker ground that he faced on Supreme Day?
Yeah, probably a preference. Yeah, I'd imagine so. He won his bumper on heavy, didn't he? Was he around that day and he beat Clapper Thunder for Tristan Davis?
Tristan Davis.
Yeah, look, I know he was bought to go chasing. That is what he was bought for initially. But there's been a few side arrows thrown recently because how open the champion hurdle may now become on the basis that we don't think now, it's probably fair to say that Constitution Hill isn't going to be what he was at one point. So you've got the new line there at 9-2. That has obviously put a question mark there for Barry Connell saying, well, hang on, we finished second in a Supreme. We're sort of 50-1 available. We could probably have a crack at a champion hurdle. I know he's always wanted to win the race. And then Kopek the board, Willie might go, well, hang on, we won the Supreme. We've got the best 2 miler. We could even stay over hurdles and have a crack at the champion hurdle because we are due a new champion hurdle winner, really, aren't we? So look, the natural route is to send them chasing, but the new line, it sounds like he's probably going to go down the champion hurdle route. William Money's certainly become 50-50. It wouldn't be a massive surprise to me if they did keep Kopek over hurdles, but I wouldn't necessarily want to put my money down. But it's an interesting angle, I think, because we could have a completely different champion hurdle picture next season, if so. And we need it as well.
We do. Sean, Kopek, De Board, Lulamba. Is Romeo Coolio maybe a dark horse for an Arkle since there's no turners? Any of the three, who would you go with at this present moment in time?
At this present moment in time, I think, look, you have to go with the Supreme winner, don't you? Look, I just touched on Lulambo. I think everyone just expects because Sergino and Marsborough went through that this 4-year-old trend is going to be a new thing. I'd just say they were exceptional. That was an exceptional crop of juvenile hurdlers, and that's not going to be the same every year. So I'd say just take him with a pinch of salt. Yeah, I haven't had a look at the mark. I assume he's up the top of it. Kopek the board. I'd say the blowout at the end of last season at Punchestown. Look, it's gonna put people on cold feet, and maybe he might be in cold ice until he makes his debut. Because people will look and say he is vulnerable. But one thing I would say is that I'd say he virtually probably stood in his box between winning the Supreme and turning up at Punchestown, because I think Willie realised he might have left a couple undercooked, and they were too long out of grass celebrating that Cheltenham Festival wins, and they just were left way too short coming in here. So I wouldn't give up on him. I know he did have a big blowout there at Punchestown. He was well long odds on favourite. But to me, I think he's a chaser all day. He didn't have a whole lot of respect for hurdles. And I think quick ground caught him out at the Cheltenham Festival, Jay. It's similar like you, being very, very critical. I thought he'd come away from William Money. And I watched back and said, look, they went a good gallop and he sort of just stayed on. Where I think if that's in soft ground, he's able to just keep going at that one pace, and he then gets away. Where on the quicker ground, I think the likes of William Money and all would definitely able to hang about with him and made it a race after the last. I know he kicked the last hurdle to the floor and still won. But I think fences will put a lot of manners on him. And look, I hope he's able to jump. But I go on, Jay.
Go, Sean. Go, Sean.
Yeah, look, he'd be the standout for me going into the Arkle. Now, I think there's a couple of others. I think we're touching on dark horses and all later on that might be forgotten about, so I'll hold them till then.
The thing I was going to say with Kopek as well is, okay, all next season you're obviously going to hear me say William Money's got good form because he was behind Kopek. But in all fairness to Kopek, he did hit, like Sean said, he did hit that last. And to be fair, even when William Money took advantage and closed a little bit, Kopek did go away again. Like, that's Altior and Shishkin type of stuff, that is,
Mhm.
I do have to give Sean some credit as well, where credit's due. Sean put me on Kopech the board at 25-1. It was for the Turners, but he still put me on him at a massive price. So same again this year, please, Sean. But
excuse me, feck you, Liam Tipstar. I was the one who gave it for a Supreme. Stop licking the dove's arse. Yeah. Oh, he pinned me up the
Well, in fairness, Jay says to me,
hold on, cut off the stream, Sean. Come on, I'm leaving.
James off his head.
Leave the meeting.
Oh, we can't cut the finishing line, boys, off. We can't.
Yeah. I think that's just a dig, Sean Dunne. But anyway, I've gone 100% U-turn. I shouldn't take any notice of Punchestown for him, but the Whale of Lamba won because, well, the only thing you're going to be going to be hit very critical.
What are you saying?
The Irish crop of juveniles are absolute muck. I told you that.
Yeah.
But the Whale
that's my
of
fear,
Lamba,
Jay. I'm thinking to myself, is Poneros even that good?
yeah, but the Whale of Lamba won a Punchestown, Sean. The way that was a quick run race and he kept up. The only little worry I have is that they came out and was it James Bowen said, oh, he's a stare all day. But if you can go flat out 34, 35 miles per hour in a 2-mile juvenile race, regardless if it's a juvenile race, and he stays on like an absolute beast.
So
I think he's a future King George Gold Cup horse anyway, Lamba. He is, yeah. He's different to Sergino because Sergino's all speed.
Do you think he's better than Kopech then? Is that what you're saying here right now? What you're saying?
Long term, I think he'd like to own Lamba.
I think long term, I think Lamba would be better, yeah.
Interesting.
I really do, yeah. I think he really impressed me at Punchestown. It just, and sometimes you have to take Punchestown form with a pinch of salt, but
sure.
The way the race was run, and even Townend tried to be cheeky with Poneros, got up the inside.
Yeah, he did.
But Lamba has everything. I like to see in a horse.
I'd say you'll know how good they think Poneros is, and that'll depend on whether they run him on the flat this year, or if
that's true.
Or if they save him for novice chasing at the beginning of next season. I reckon that will be your answer because there's plenty of money to be won on the flat. Willie Mullin doesn't mind that too, and he's got the horses for it, So, but if they don't run him on the flat, then you probably know they think he's a decent novice chaser. That's how I sum him up anyway. But yeah, I'm not sold on the number, boys. I'm not sold, but anyway.
That's so sticking with William Money, Joe. Obviously, Mr. O'Connell says that there's a space for him to be a champion early. I think he's all speed. I think a little bit more softer ground seems a better light. Would he got, as you say, closer to Kopech with the softer ground? That's debatable. To me, I think there's only one champion hurdle next year. I'm on a 10-1. It was my only Ante-Post bet is the New Line. To me, it was the race of the festival.
Yeah, brilliant.
I think I know where you're going with the Yellow Clay next year. It's definitely a Browns horse for next year. With Final Demand, I think it was such a top class race. I think there are 3 really good horses. Would stick with you, Joe. New Line, Champion Hurdle. Is it a case of Final Demand versus the Yellow Clay and the Browns for next year?
Yeah,
2-part question.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, look, if you want to back one horse for Cheltenham next year now, and you just want to keep backing it, but you know it's going to go to the race, then Final Demand for the Brown Advisory is the one. But I'm not advising everyone to start just going on and loading at 3-1, 4-1, or whatever he is. But he's not a 2-miler, so he is going up to that Browns. If he's not there, then something's gone wrong during the season. The Yellow Clay, you know what? He's going to be another one of these Gordo horses that just finishes second to Willie Mullin's horse all season long. He's another Firefox. He's another Founder 50. Really talented animal, but he has to find improvement. I was a big fan of his last year because obviously he won that maiden hurdle. Then he won a grade 3, grade 2. Then he won the Lauders of Nace, which was obviously the grade 1. Perfect campaign. And then got done by a possible champion hurdle winner. Not sure what I make of the New Line. I actually love him as a horse, but I would rather back Kopech and William Money to beat him over 2 miles over hurdles myself. Not necessarily saying it means this, that, and t'other, really. But yeah, I find it hard to weigh him up at the moment. But I think Kopech's engine is by far superior to even William Money. So,
Champion hurdle, would you think the Money has a chance against the New Line?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, you've got, this is what I said. This is probably what Barry's thinking as well. I know he's always wanted to win a champion hurdle, but the fact that what have you really got to be afraid of? You can take Kopech on again. He went far behind him. Why not have a crack? He might go chasing. The new line is meant to be going to the champion hurdle from what we know, but he went over 2 mile 4 at Cheltenham. Yes, he's got speed, but he's still got to do it over 2 miles at Cheltenham. And there's nothing to suggest why that form over 2 mile 4 is any better than what William Money did over 2 miles in the Supreme. So there's no reason why one should be 9-2 and then the other one should be 50-1. So look, he's a Westerner. He could go chasing or stay over hurdles. It really doesn't matter. He improved with age. He needs to. He was quite immature. He was mature at home and then green and all sorts at home. We know how keen he was on the racetrack, but look, he confirmed he's got a massive engine. So yeah, why not? Why not?
Liam, what do you think? Champion Herd, the new line?
The new Lion, I was really keen on him after his Challow. I know everyone kept banging on about the Challow form. I was really keen on him. I kept posting stuff in our groups of a green and gold lion.
Yeah, that's what came into my head when massive bet, honestly. I thought about that.
So yeah, I took a bit of fight.
I know I won't thank you, Liam, for putting me on Tim, but anyway, for the co-pick the board, Sean Dunne. Yeah, go on,
I wouldn't be like you.
I took a bit of the 5-1 after the Challow, so I was pretty happy with that. Yeah, I was really impressed with him. There's one horse in this division that I really want to see, and I would be playing them if I knew the horse was fit and well. Sean may have an inkling, or hopefully one of you boys might do. But I was so impressed with Amsterdam last season.
Oh, the starts I saw. One I had in my mind as well.
I knew you were going to say Amsterdam.
Yeah, but I wanted the quiz. I wanted the quick fire quiz because I was on Amsterdam in my head then.
Oh, were you? Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I was so impressed with his first couple of starts and what he did over in France as well. You just don't know if he's fit and well, and he's skinny price given the fact that obviously he had a bit of a setback. He's top price 16's top price.
Okay.
I'd say you want a serious set of cojones on you to take that because he missed the juvenile campaign through not being right, and then he came out and he's gone wrong again. So I'd say.
Oh, I just thought it's because he'd already lost his novice status, Sean, so they just didn't bother.
He's glass legs, unfortunately.
Has he?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
So, look, you might get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, you
get a year clear with him, and you're absolutely on a winner there, I think. And he's definitely a dark horse.
You'll be on tenterhooks waiting for the X's from Road to Cheltenham. Don't give yourself the brain ache. You probably have a heart attack before.
Final Demand or the Yellow Clay, Liam?
Yellow Clay, yeah, and Final Demand. Really impressed with both of them. I potentially think that
when I put a little dark horse into you because you like the Donnelly horses, Kitzbühel Hell, could he end up in a Browns?
Oh, send him chasing now. After that, send him chasing now.
There you are. Joe wants him to go chasing, so I'm sure that they will. I do like both those horses. I'd be siding with the Yellow Clay over the pair of them personally, which I know wouldn't be the fashionable thing to do. And Sean will probably be giving me daggers choosing the Elliott horse over the Mullins horse. But yeah, I like the Yellow Clay.
I'm with you. I'm with the Yellow Clay as well. So
I think they're both Sean, really good. They could both be really good.
They're very good. They're very good. Sean, the Yellow Clay, Final Demand, Browns for next year. Who would you be in the camp? We all know Final Demand. Come on, sell it.
This is going to be seriously against the camp now. Look, I'm going to be brutal, and this is how I'm going to be about it. I don't think the new line's going to make the cut at the championship level at 2 miles. I don't think.
Definitely cut off the stream now. Yeah.
Look, I think when you look at the Ballymore,
you watching? When you
look at the Ballymore, he was the quickest horse and he was there and ready. He knew what he was doing. I'm going to touch on it now in a second. I just think when you come to that championship level, you've lost him out on Stateman at the top. They notch in around 170 and he needs to find £10 to get to them. I think people make the very small mistake of forgetting that jump between novice and open company. You can look as good as you want as a novice. Imperial Pass looked unbelievable in the Ballymore. Stepped up, couldn't make it into open company. All these horses have tried to have goes at Stateman. They haven't got by him yet. and he's there 3 seasons. So just to say the level that they're at, and I think Lossiemouth could be pushing on to Stateman's tail coming into this season. I think they run to quite a level that you can set your clock by them, and you need to be hitting 170 to get up to them lads. And I'm just not sure they're going to get up to them. I look at the Ballymore, go back, and I think it was a massive culture shock to final demand. And if you could give a jockey one chance bank, I think Paul Townend would have taken the race by the horns, and he would have made most of them, because you seen what happened. He's only had 2 races going into Cheltenham, only 2 starts in his career. He's won a maiden hurdle as he wanted, and he went 2 miles 6 on heavy ground around Leopardstown and won that as he wanted. And it was the first time he was asked any sort of questions to get into a battle around horses. And I think coming off the pace wasn't him. You then seen him go back to Punchestown and he take the bull by the horns, and Paul Townend ridden him off the front. And he just gunned him. He's jumped everything. He's gone all the way out through the line like he showed us in the DRF. And I just think a step up and trip. I have zero doubts in my head he would batter the yellow clay over fences on 3 miles. I think he's only going to get better with a step up and trip. He jumped the way he did around Punchestown. If he takes fences like that, lads, or the novice 3 mile division is in big trouble. I know it's easy saying, look, he's at the top of the mark. I'm not giving away any like special hoodoo here or anything like that. But I just think out of that crop, I think he'll fare it out best. I think the new line will fall short of the champion hurdle. I think he'd be better than the yellow K. He's only ever got to the racetrack 4 times in his life, and he's improved every single run. And I think he showed the learning that he learned in the Ballymore going into Punchestown, now going over the fences next season. I think he's only going to keep going on an upward curve, and I think he will be dynamite in that 3 mile staying division.
Sorry, lads, just a one that's on topic but off topic. Why is the Ballymore 2 mile 5?
What, and not 2 mile 4? I'd
Very good
love
question.
I'd love to know. If anyone actually knows, do let us know, because it is
Let us
it's
know.
interesting that it's not 2 mile 4, I suppose, isn't it?
Sean, staying on your point there with Brown's horses, I see myself leaning, I think myself leaning back to them afterwards. The Bartlett winner, Jasmine DeVoe, and the big Westerner. I think the Westerner obviously is going to go down the mare's chase. I think, and in fairness to Bromhead, might be brave enough to run her in the Browns, but Jasmine DeVoe, will it make the grade? I think it should stay in the Stairs Hurl, but then we're moving on back to a Browns with a Lecky Watson Gold Cup types and better days and Head all Damon, Ballyburn bombing out and Ballyburn moving out to Stairs Hurl. Is it the case that they think Ballyburn is the Stairs Hurl horse, but Jasmine, they're just going to say, look, we're going to do the same as Ballyburn. Try him over fences, but if he doesn't work, we'll put him back in the Stairs Hurdle. What do you think, that Bartlett was a good Bartlett? I think it was, especially when I think the horse that Joe is involved with, Wendigo, is an absolute cast iron good thing for the Night and the Hunt Chase next year. All those kind of horses in between, are they not good enough for next year, maybe?
The Bartlett, look, with Jasmine DeVoe, I already think Willie is God, but if Willie can get him to jump a fence, he's God times 2, because I don't know how he's gonna get this. He took a season to get him jumping hurdles. I'm not sure how he's gonna get him jumping fences, because you only have to go and look at his point to point, and it's dangerous stuff. I don't know how he got around that place and won. So I think he could be a Stairs horse, Jay. It's hard.
You bet they're gonna try though, Sean. You know they're gonna try.
100%. No, absolutely, 100% they're gonna try. The Bartlett, I think Final Demand and Yellow Clay coming up were better than what was in the Bartlett. And I think the winner potentially could stay over hurdle, so you mightn't get him Novice Chase. And then you look back, the mare ran a cracker, and the mare ran an absolute smasher. I know she blew out a Fairy House. That
She
can
was in
happen.
season. No, she was in season. They did come out and say so.
Okay, she was. There you go. There's your reason. Then. Very valid excuse.
My quick question to you now before you go on is Spindleberry versus the Big Westerner next year in the Mare's Chase?
Yeah, and Spindleberry will be here.
Thank you, Sean Dunne. Liam, after Jasmine DeVoe won the Punchestown, I think we took the bunch. Did we take 16s? Was it in the Stairs Hurdle? Am I wrong? Am I right? You said it and I backed it.
I was all over it, and then Willie Mullins come out and said,
"That's exactly what I was saying."
He might jump a fence, and I was thinking, "You idiot!"
Yeah.
I mean, when he's staying in my pocket there. Otherwise, had he not said that and give some sort of inclination, I'd be having a $5 from every win that I have, a $10 from every win that I have, and I'd just be throwing it on Jasmine DeVoe and sticking it in my sock drawer until March.
The big sock drawer. But anyway, Stairs Hurdle wise, Joe, to you, Pooh, obviously, will they think they'll campaign him more frequently next year? Great ride by Richard from Bob Ollinger.
Yeah.
And then you have the Dark Pretenders of it. My favourite son in Ballyburn coming back to it. Jasmine DeVoe, hopefully. It's a very, very, very limited division. What do you think for next year?
Yeah, it's weird because I got an interesting take with Ballyburn. A lot of people were saying that he's going to need a nice bit of soft ground. I actually think in a stayers hurdle he'd be dynamite on fast ground around Cheltenham. I just think he'd travel all over it, and I feel if he just focuses on his racing a little bit more, we might actually see a really good horse. But until you see the right attitude in a horse, it's not something I tend to get involved with myself. Not too many protagonists coming through, are there? Tia Hoopu, you've got to run him more, haven't you? You can't get beat like that again and have the excuse that you've only run him once or twice. Yeah, maybe try and give him a proper campaign this year. It's probably a division I haven't got too much to say on right now. If they can get Jasmine DeVoe to jump, it depends what happens there. Yeah, same old in that division for me at the moment. Nothing to report from me anyway.
Right, we're going to go on to a few random questions. 2026 Cheltenham Fancies Bar. We kind of touched on it, haven't we? Anything maybe that we haven't touched on, would you back next year for Cheltenham?
I would back the big Westerner for the mares because they won't go against the boys. It's got if you're where are we? We are June the 5th, if you're going to be backing horses for
Well, you're the one who wrote it.
no, but if you're going to be backing horses right
I
now,
know.
you want to be sure that they're going for that race. To be quite honest, I'm not bothered about having swings at this and that right now. So the only bet for me would be Final Demand right now. He is going to that Brown Advisory, whatever happens, bar injury, of course. So that would be him for me.
Liam, any horse that we haven't kind of touched on or we can mention for 2026 Cheltenham Festival?
Liam's viciously scrolling there.
Oh, he's scrolling. Yeah, he's swiping.
No, I have got one, but it's not for Cheltenham. I haven't backed anything myself for Cheltenham, and I probably won't start looking until closer to October. But I have got a bet for next season, which I'm happy to share. I did throw it out at Oddschecker. The price has come in slightly, but it's still a decent value. So that would be for the King George, and I think he will absolutely love this. This is all with head and not with heart. The horse's record is first, second, first, third. Never been outside the frame. Still unbelievably underappreciated. He needs a trip. He stays and stays and stays. He won at the Cheltenham Festival because of his engine. Django Bay is available at 25 to 1 for Nicky Henderson. I've had a bit of the 40s and a bit of the 33s.
Is there any way you can get rid of Liam there off the stream now after that? Because he won't
that's what everybody
as my famous saying goes, Liam, he won't get it in an arse's lick of Gaelic Warrior and John Bonnet and the King George.
John Bonnet running it. Gaelic Warrior won't come over. Since the tour, Willie's not sent over.
There's 100% coming over.
Willie's not sent over any of his top notchers to come over in this. You had the likes of Tornado Flyer, a washed out Allaho. And everybody said exactly the same thing about Django Bay.
I'm surprised with the top he has on him. He hasn't mentioned Banbridge all year. Look, I tipped Banbridge last year for a nice win.
It's not a gig for me, is it?
Yeah.
We to be fair, we did say that Django Bay wouldn't get even a tail sniff of Madgeborough, and
that's true.
Didn't he? Look, it does happen, doesn't it? But
he's a very
early shout by Liam for 40 months Django Bay. I
don't know.
In a box of Kleenex after it, but anyway.
I don't know if I quite believe Liam when he says this was head over heart. It might be a little bit.
I agree, Joe. Might be a bit of rationale.
Yeah, bit of both. I'd say Liam was there because he loves the boy.
Yeah, I might be lying slightly. There might be a bit of heart in there.
No, it's all good, mate. It's all good. He's actually got a genuine child. Just teasing.
We won't put out the voice recordings he sent at 6 o'clock on the Tuesday at Cheltenham Festival.
I don't even remember them myself. Must have been right gone.
Sean, anything outside that we haven't mentioned for Cheltenham next year?
I haven't had a bet yet, Jay. So I'm not just gonna stick anything up for the crack. Are we doing dark horses, or do you want me to talk about it?
We'll move on to that. I backed one horse already for Cheltenham. It's New Line, 10 to 1 for in the Champion Hurdle. I'm happy, and I'm with Sean. I'll take on Joe with Spindleberry in the Mare's Chase because I think she's a top class mare. Anyway, Joe, we'll come back to you. your horse of the year. Oh God, we got no. We know. Sorry, why did I come to you first? We know this. Come on, tell me.
So
Spill the beans.
yeah, so the mighty Marine National, of course,
Mm.
um, finally did what a lot of people didn't think he could. Changed a lot of people's mind after the race, didn't he? Um, I'm on repeat now, but like I said, it's a horse that's given me everything. Gave me the chance to get close in Mikey and Barry. Ended up spending half the summer and winter at Marine National. So to watch all come to fruition, brilliant. And he's given me some good opportunities within racing as well. But look, no one thought it was going to happen. Not many people until that ground started to come and we got quite near the race. There were a lot more forgiving heads out there, and yeah, it was just amazing to see, wasn't it? So he is my personal horse of the year, if you like.
Mm.
But the genuine horse of the year, in my mind, could be Nick Rocket. He won the TSDs. He won the Bobby Joe, didn't he, as well? Did he win the Bobby Joe, the TSDs, the Bobby
You
Joe,
did, yeah. You did, yeah.
and then the Grand National? I mean, I don't think you'll find another horse anywhere this season that had a resume as impressive as that, really. That's an incredible training performance. So Marine National is my personal horse of the year, but I think Nick Rocket would deserve the genuine trophy.
Sean.
Yeah, I was just thinking there, Jay. Do you know what? And he probably doesn't get the credit, so I'm gonna give it to him this season. I'm gonna give it a State Man, a horse that just delivers every day. Such a clock by him, and everyone ruled him out. He went to Christmas, blew out. He was beaten in the Morgiana, and that was the end of State Man. He was going absolutely nowhere. Cheek pieces going for a champion hurdle, and he's 12, 14 to 1. Ball down and still on his back, and unfortunately he came down. But at Punchestown, he put it all right, and he got the credit I think he finally deserved. And look, he's knocked around for 3 seasons now. His Grade One record is absolutely incredible. He's just a horse turns up every single day, bar one blip he's ever had at Christmas at the Leopardstown meeting. But other than that, I think he's turned up every day, dances dance, and he just doesn't ever gets the credit. I think he finally got it when he won at Punchestown and he beat that field. And I know Constitution Hill probably didn't turn up, but the fact he was in there and beat him, I think it just made everyone pay that little more respect to him.
Love that.
Liam.
If we There's so much talk about trying to get people into racing, get more people at racetracks. The atmosphere at the Dublin Racing Festival, and I was definitely stood alongside yourself, Jay, and more than likely alongside both of the boys as well. But when those olays rang out, when Galloping to Champs, with the cheer, the roar when he jumped 2 out, never mind when he crossed the line, and it was right off the back of people suggesting he hadn't captured the hearts of people. I've never been in an atmosphere like that. It was absolutely incredible. If you could bottle that and sell it to people, they'd be absolutely running through the gates to go racing. He was unbelievable. What he did back at Punchestown, I backed Banbridge that day at Punchestown, and when I knew Banbridge wasn't going to win, I was screaming at the telly for Galloping to go away, jump the last two and go clear, and I was so happy that he did. I've been a big fan for a long time, and I can't wait to hopefully see him regain it next season. So for me, he is my horse of the year.
Yeah, that commentary as well, coming at the straight. Obviously, I watched it a million times when we sort of got back, and Jerry Hanlon, he's it's the stuff of legends here at Leopardstown. 300 Gold Cups. It's just gives me goosebumps. And the great thing about him, I know we always say this, but he's done it at Leopardstown Gold Cups, he's won Cheltenham Gold Cups, and Punchestown Gold Cups. It's like, find a horse of that resume, because
Yeah, absolutely.
you've been looking a long time. What about you, Jamie? You've got to
I
answer
don't
this
really
as well.
do horses of the year, lads, because there's so many there. But I will agree with Liam. It was the standout moment of the season. Ride of the season. We'll go back to Joe, and I know what he's going to say, and we didn't touch on it earlier, but I think he's going to say the Great Wood Hurdle.
Yeah. Burdett Road, unbelievable this was for me. Because prior to that race, they'd really struggled to get him to jump, and he's got the same sire as the Dream to Share, couldn't jump as well. There's a lot through his pedigree that really struggle. But the fact that Harry Cobden was able to ride him from the front, get him up for all of his hurdles, and still hold on for obviously the late charge from Dysart Enos and
Be aware.
Be Aware sort of thing was just unbelievable. His fractions had to be so spot on, and it was Harry Cobden that got him jumping. Like, he really sort of gave him a clip coming in to all of his hurdles, got his feet up quick. It was just, I loved watching that just because I've been so focused on how bad his jumping had been like before. It was great to see. Brilliant. Yeah, loved that ride. because not many would have been able to get him jumping that day. So love it.
I'll go quickly and hope Liam doesn't agree with me. But I think the ride of the season by far and away was Paul Townend in the King George on Banbridge. I think he timed it to absolute perfection and was
Cool.
great for all our pockets. Liam, hopefully, I think I know what you're going to say. I think it's Nico the point, but that's a horse. But anyway, come on.
I thought Nico was absolutely magic for all the grief and stick that he gets. I thought he was brilliant to sit and wait on Django Bay in the Arkle, and that very much got me rolling from a personal perspective after a real sticky start to the year. So that was fantastic when he got up and won. But no, I'm in agreement, Jamie. Obviously, again, probably slightly attached with my pocket because he was carrying my money. I was keen on Banbridge for many months out. But to sit and wait the way that he did and time it to perfection and just let Ile Francais bowl along in front and just know that he had enough horse under him, it was magical. I was there, fortunately. My missus had got me tickets for my birthday. And to see it there live in person, I thought it was an absolute mustard ride.
Sean Dunne.
A strange one for me that everyone probably won't have at the top of their mind. Comes back to Newbury on the 1st of March, and there was a certain Sean Bowen rode Booster Bob. Now this thing,
Oh yeah, I remember.
Great shout, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this was absolutely off the scales. I don't know if anyone that goes back and has a look at it. I'd say if there was odds of 2 billion to 1, he would have heard it because this lad was out the back of the telly, Sean Bowen going nowhere. One horse behind him coming into the straight and somehow managed to pick up a handicap field of about, I'd say there's probably 14 runners in it. You just see him, he gets past one in the horse's head.
Yeah.
Sean Bowen in the drive, lads, he's just one person. You look back and you see him hunting you down, you're just shitting yourself straight away. You're like, you just know he's gonna do it, he's just gonna lift him. And that's a ride for me now that just stood out at the top. So that was Booster Bob back in Newbury on the 1st of March.
I am surprised none of us said Moon d'Orange with Sean Bowen from
Yeah,
County.
that one
Remember
is.
that as
He
well?
could have his own catalogue. If there was a
Yeah.
top 10, he'd
Yeah.
probably take up 9 of the positions.
Yeah,
wouldn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
The match of the day when they like read out all goal of the
He
season.
done
Calm
done
down,
another.
Joe. Calm
there was
down,
a-
Joe. Just because you tipped him and you were crying halfway, tear up the slip on Moon d'Orange. Do I have the evidence here if I want to share?
Hey, that got me into profit on the day, and it was
Profit in the day. I was nearly crying after the first race that I tipped the Cheltenham that day. Yeah, on trials day. Yeah,
All right, let me.
All right. But anyway, Sean, since you're chomping at the bit for a dark horse to follow, a horse that to overperform next year, and a horse that is overpriced maybe for Cheltenham next year. Let's go. The
Right.
floor is yours.
A
Right,
horse that-
you're not a Vega, by the way. Go on.
I have to think about that. So a horse who's overpriced and might be a bit forgotten about would be Cowabunga.
Oh
Uh,
crap! Yes, after taking my thunder.
Yeah, look, I think he's a horse that's not going to be going 3 miles. So you sort of nail your master the Arkle if he goes over fences this season. You don't have to worry about trips or anything like that. But he's a horse that was went seriously under the radar. I think me and Jay were sweet on him. I went out to Christmas at Leopardstown the 26th. Kopek the board won it, and he got an educational ride to say the least. And he came out the next day and he beat William Money and the Henry de Bromhead horse who escapes me.
Cocktail Divan.
Cocktail Divan. He beat the two of them in a maiden hurdle and unfortunately was injured and missed the rest of the season. But he's a horse that, look, you just need to look through that form. He was second to the Supreme Hurdle winner. He beat the second in the Supreme. So I do think he needs a lot of respect looking at him coming in. I seen, I just checked, he's around 20 to 1 for the Arkle. I'm not saying have a bet on or anything like that, but he's definitely one to have on your radar. A horse that might overachieve next season, and I come to a horse in England, and it's a mare trained by Tom George.
Of course, you're coming over this way for
Yeah.
an overachiever.
I think she's gonna mix at the top level next year and might get to the Cheltenham Festival. Her name is Heron in the Park. She's had one run for Tom George, bought for big money out of point to point scene, and she went to Newbury and won a bumper. And I tell you, I don't know if she's gone under the radar a little bit, but there was no talk about her whatsoever, and I was blown up about this because she sort of travels in, Harry Cobden on board, good jockey, booked on, good signs you see, and he beat a winner of Ollie Murphy's that had won previously, and I think there was talk of her going the ancient bumper before she got beaten in this race, and she beat her convincingly on the bridle. I think Heron in the Park, she's a mare's novice hurdle route. I'd say she's going to go down next season, definitely going to go over obstacles, and I think she could be one that make hay in England. You know them sort of grade twos that they'll be on around. So they'll be at funny tracks, don't they? Sandown and place like that. She might.
Yeah.
I think she's a horse that definitely is going to win a couple of races in England next year and might be there come the Mare's Novice Hurdle, depending on what turns up. Obviously, a Bambino Fever. And then a dark horse from left wing. Joe's know where I'm going with this. Many people, probably 99% of people aren't going to hear this name before. It's a horse coming from the point-to-point scene, Grange Clear Park, bought by KDDA Racing and in training with Gordon Elliott. Look, I watch a lot of point-to-point racing week to week, and this was the standout from this season for me. He's won his point-to-point. He looked raw. He was asked a question, and what I liked is when he was asked a question, he latched straight back onto the bridle. Comes from a good outfit in Joey Logan, and has produced multiple winners in Grange Clear West and a couple of others. So he's coming from the right scene. He's bought for big money into KDDA Racing, Romeo Coolio, for anyone that wasn't sure. And that he's going to go in. He's a 4-year-old. I think he'll go down the champion bumper route. And I'd be hoping you see him in that down road meeting where Gordon likes to run his champion bumper horses. But if not, he could be a longer term project and they don't want to rush him to the Cheltenham Festival. But I think he's a horse that you definitely have to have in your radar, and that's Grange Clear Park.
Lovely. Joe, dark
Yeah,
horse, anything overpriced or anything whatever for the future?
Yeah, just a couple of quick ones, I suppose, just to expand. Well, not expand, just to back up what Sean said there. I agree with the Grange Clare Park shout because in the KTDA boys, they said if anyone doesn't know, that's the Romeo Coolio colours. Really good supporters of the game, really nice guys. I support all of their horses, so I would love to see that too. And they've also got Hernando de Soto, and I think they bought 4 other new purchases as well. So get the KTDA horses definitely in your trackers, especially like Sean said, Grange Clare Park. But yeah, horse called Honesty Policy. He was second to Jasmine DeVoe on the final start of the season, but came to Aintree and absolutely bolted up in the grade. I can't remember if it's a grade 2 or a grade 1. I think it's a
grade 1.
Yeah, perfect. And this is a horse that had come from the point-to-point scene, literally sort of 3 months prior to that. He came out, ran well, and just took a huge step forward straight in grade 1 company. You don't find many horses like that, and he's going to go under the radar. I imagine he's going to go chasing, really nice horse. Don't give up on work ahead just yet. He is older a little bit, but he might do okay as a novice chaser. Not just keep an eye there, and perhaps Game of Inches as well. I think he's meant to be going chasing, isn't he, Sean? Quite quick.
Yeah, they were him and Han about that, weren't
Yeah.
they?
So especially if he goes chasing, then I'll say he'd be one to keep on side. And then of course William Money 50-1 for the champion hurdle. It is generally overpriced. So if you want a little bit of a nibble or something like that, there's a few for you.
Yeah, I'll throw in my 3. One that I said at the start of the season, Joe, for the Skeletons, I think it could be another Valgrand that will mop up in all those grade 2s at Cheltenham. Is a horse called Fortune de Mer. He
Love
always
it, don't you?
and he
Really
always
like
kind of
him.
said to the next season's horse, I think he'll mop up in all those Mickey Mouse grade 2s around Cheltenham. He'd be a stupid price for Cheltenham next year again, like a Potter's Charm, but he will win races. The other horse that I really like of the Costellos, and we'll go back and not be morbid or anything for Mr. the Costellos, for Mr. Like his name escapes me, but we will say nothing. Mikey O'Sullivan is that a horse that won a bumper, beat the Barry Connon horse each their own, and it's Kaiser Ball. I think this could be a rattling good horse.
I thought that myself, Jay. Right? The road to Curracross. My only worry was the jockey, wasn't it? That's my
and
only
he
fear.
romped home, and that is not a great bumper crop, but they will all win races. Do you know what I mean? But I really actually kind of half fancied him for Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Look, Bambino Fever is a huge standout. Bambino Fever can go quick, can go slow, and still win. And I will not give up on a horse that needs rattling, fast pace. Won the bumper to DRF that I tipped on the channel. If he gets a fast pace, Noel Mead doesn't train National Hunt horse anymore. He's a flat trainer now. But Col Cannon, if he gets a rattling, fast pace, I wouldn't give up on him as a novice hurdler and maybe ended up in a big handicap towards the end of the season. But they're my trainer, Col Cannon, Kaiser Ball, and Fortune de Mer to follow.
I'll give you one more quickly, James.
Right.
One more, please. Soldier in Milan for Emmett Mullins, won a bumper. I did a post about him at the beginning of last year, saying that he was meant to be pretty good. He did eventually come out, win his bumper. Just keep an eye on him. He's probably going to go down the Supreme route.
Liam?
I've got 3, 2 of which will probably be potentially with a view to Cheltenham. Where is unknown, so they're not particular bets now, but ones perhaps for other people's trackers. And another that may even win kind of before we get rolling in October, or if not, will definitely win post-October for JP. So the first one, we'll get out of the way because I can't pronounce it. Carl de Toules, Tourelles, Yes. Ran at Cheltenham in the Pertemps, only a 5-year-old, finished 7th of 24 in that. Then ran really nicely, got a little bit squeezed for room at Punchestown when finishing 4th of 23. That was the race that Jericho de
It's
Repenay
Philip
won.
Fenton's horse, Liam, isn't
That's
it?
It
it.
is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Philip Fenton horse,
Trying to
yeah.
think. God damn it.
Yeah, I think he's got loads of improvement left to come. Whether he has another crack at the Pertemps or whether it depends how much improvement there is in him, I suppose. How he develops over the summer and how he comes back in. He may even be one for further down the line next season. So yeah, he's one that I definitely keep on side. Another is Kiss Will. I was really impressed with his win at Perth. He was really eye-catching in his maiden win over in Ireland. He finished 7th, I think it was, of 11 at Cheltenham, obviously in the Grade 1 Ballymore. But I think potentially him over a fence could be interesting. Maybe one for the now new but old Novice handicap chase. If he takes the fences, I think Kiss Will's a lot better than perhaps what we've seen, and we haven't seen an awful lot of him. And then the last one, just for people's trackers, is a horse called Park That for JP McManus. Recently won a maiden at odds of 11 to 10, but only went up £2 off a mark of 114. That horse has got more wins in it for sure. Just go and look at some of his back form, and he's definitely a much better animal than 114.
Beautiful. We'll move on to the last two parts of the show, and we have Twitter questions. Joe, have you a few there for us to answer from the crowd?
I do. Jamie Dawson is sent in a couple. Is Lecky Watson top class and a threat in the Gold Cup? He's never been a fan himself.
Worst race at the Cheltenham Festival ever.
So that's a no from Jamie then, straight away. No. Sean, any love for Lecky Watson with regards to the Gold Cup?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better for me. Just in terms of that Gold Cup, I don't think there's any novices that are coming in that are gonna scare or do anything in that division next year, unfortunately.
Liam?
Django Bay will be single figures after he wins the King George.
There we go. Exactly. Lecky Watson fan, Liam?
No, not overly, but should be. There's nothing to not like about him, is there? But no, for some reason I don't. But that probably means he'll be underappreciated and therefore bigger price in the market.
Yeah, I quite like him. I think he's exactly what you want in a Gold Cup horse. He isn't flashy, is he? He's just a bit of a plodder. I think he'll do himself justice this year. I wouldn't put anyone backing him off each way. Perhaps I don't know what price he is at the moment, mine. I'm sure he's pretty damn big though. Jamie also said, "Why is the new line not 1 to 5 for the champion hurdle? It's already in the bag." Not giving
Talking
in.
the truth there.
Is Cold not giving in? Is Coldwell Potter the horse to bring Paul Nicholls back to the top of the table? Personally, I don't think he's ever going to be back top of the table. But I do think what you're probably asking is Coldwell Potter going to go on to better things? I would certainly hope so. Big fan of Paul Nicholls. Been in racing a long time, so always, I'd love to see him come back to challenge the big boys. Jamie, difficult horse to weigh up, really, isn't he? He surprised people effectively with the price tag he had. He has gone on them to win at Cheltenham and at Aintree. I wouldn't have given him a hope at either.
Oh yeah, someone said about Charles Burns there, cheats and racing there the last day. Some fella goes on about but Paul Nichols but pulls the wool over everybody's eyes like Dan Skelton. Nothing said about it. Sir Mark Prescott had a horse during the week, 8800. Goes up to a mile and a half. Is that not cheating, no?
There's a
But anyway,
difference,
we'll
though.
leave it at that.
There's
But
the-
anyway,
there's-
Paul
there's the-
Potter, all jokes aside, is going to the King George.
Don't even bother, Liam. Don't even start.
Yeah. He walked into that, Joe. He absolutely walked into it. But anyway, all jokes aside, Caldwell Potter was probably the best training performance all year. He fooled us all, 100%. I think he's going to the King George because I think Caliph de Burley will probably end up in the Tingle Creek because I think he now knows that he's a 2-miler, Caliph de Burley. All that owners there, they spend stupid amount of money on horses, but they're actually two decent horses for Paul Nichols going forward if the Irish don't turn up.
What do you think of his other one, just quickly? Dematan, Cabra, no. The 2-miler, the novice.
Caliph de Burley.
Caliph de Burley, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to Single Creek along with Load of Sud and all them, but they're good horses, Joe. Like that novice handicap is a load of rubbish. Look, like if you go back on all those horses behind it, like if you be clutching the straws, you think you're going to find winners out of that race. But then he backed it up at Aintree. I will say that. But out of that crowd, maybe I think the horse that Liam got the most stick out of it, all jokes aside, was probably going to be better than all of them in Regional Stroll. If, I'll stress again, not being biased, if the Irish don't turn up.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Sean, Colwell Potter, fan, not a fan?
Yeah, I don't know where he's going to campaign him, Joe. That'd be my only worry. Like I don't see him a bet for a chase horse. I,
He's going to go.
what?
He's going to go to the Paddy Power. Sorry for cutting across it. Paddy Power
Yeah, I
Cup.
was
He's
just
going to
that's
try
what I
an
was just
Alprop.
yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, I hope he doesn't leave it all in the Paddy Power Gold Cup when he starts off first round of the season. But reaching the top level, I'm not sure, right? He's won the novice handicap chase, I get it. He's sort of fallen home with Jordan's in behind him in the 3 mile. If Jordan's gets within an arse licks of any horse in Ireland, I'll fall down on the floor because I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the top division. So I think when you break it down, I worry. I think 2.5 miles, booking him out, letting him go. But what 2.5 mile race have you got? Peterborough chases, races like that.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not really sure myself. Not sure, but I'd love to see him go on to better things. Ian Rayner, good friend of the show, good friend of all of us. They said best performance from the racing in Ireland. So I guess what we think was the best, or the one you, or the best ride, anything really, lads. I'm going to put it out to. In fact, I'll go first. I'll say Factifile under Mark Walsh winning the John Durkan. That was a brilliant ride to get him back out against Spillane Tower. Pretty much on the spot here, fellas. So no pressure. Sean, got anything ready?
Top rides. Oh,
Oh, best
uh,
performance. Anything you like?
Did Townend lose his irons on Jasmine
Jasmine
Devoe
the
at Punchestown and still managed to get him home?
Okay. Oh, what when he beat Honesty Policy as well?
Yes,
Didn't know that. That's
I'm
impressive.
pretty sure he did. His legs were swinging all over the
Yeah, they
shop.
were. Yeah, no, he definitely lost them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Jamie?
What's-
Best performance I saw in Ireland all year was Copic the Boardman at the Dublin Race Festival.
Yeah, you like that, didn't you? Yeah.
You had me there, Joe. I'm
What
not too
about
sure.
Final Demand, Sean, when he won at the DRF? Only his second start.
Yeah, he was. Jade talked about. I'd say Kopek blew me away more. I'd say Final Demand was like to do that on your second start was
Yeah,
awesome stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that
yeah.
was magical.
Next one. Is Gaelic Warrior the best bet for the King George? And if he wins that, can he stay the Gold Cup trip? I don't think he'd stay. I don't think he'd stay. Well, no, that's a lot. I do think he'd stay the Gold Cup trip. I don't think he'd stay it well enough to win the race. He'd definitely finish out the race and all of that jazz. I think if Factifile wasn't a Ryanair horse, he would be going towards that way as well. Following possibly a tilt at the King George. Jamie, what do you think about him for a King George?
He loves them.
Yeah, I think he'll win. I think he'll win. Yeah,
King George, yeah.
it's him or John Bond. And you're going back to your point, I'm going to make a big bold statement.
Do it.
If it's soft heavy ground, the Gold Cup, he's a good thing. He'll beat Galloping Deschamps on soft heavy ground all day long. He'll be too quick for him.
Jesus.
Look, he's gonna end up running 4.5 miles, Jamie.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's going to be going wide and all over the
It'll
shop.
be a national trip for him whilst Gallopin's running the Gold Cup trip.
No.
This one's going to be really difficult on the spot from Lean, who's part of my Discord. Name one long shot / outsider for the novice chasers at Cheltenham, so the Arkle and the Browns. He said, I say a long shot because Ginger Joe will just put up William Money in Final Demand. That's boring. That's boring. But we
I
will.
think we touched on it, Joe, and I think Sean agreed with Colin Bunga is definitely one. Yeah.
Yeah, Cowabunga's about 20 to 1. He's there. I think he's definitely one that will be a lively contender come March because I just don't see him going up to the 3 mile trip, and because obviously you have no Turner's novice chase, he has to go down to 2 miles now. So
Yeah.
I definitely see him there.
Regent Stroll.
You never know, like you never know.
He's second in a grade one. He's 50s.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, it's a valid one. It's certainly valid, that, Liam.
We all know Liam's first tip in East
desperate.
Oddschecker Column next year for Cheltenham. Regional Stroll for another handicap.
Yeah, no, we've trodden that path. We won't be doing it again.
Go away, you liar!
I'd say Salvatore Mundi in the Arkle. He's 25 to 1 at the moment. I think that's pretty fair. I can't see him going up to 3 miles yet anyway. Brown Advisory, well, I might as well chuck out Wendigo then, 25 to 1. That's where we're going. That is the long-term plan anyway. See how he gets on. Ran really well. And the Bartlett finishing 5th behind Jasmine DeVoe.
Wrong
Big
race.
Westerner.
Joe, I was just looking there. You said honesty policy as well. There's a 25-1 shot that you gave out as well.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, he's another.
National Hunt Chase Wendigo.
Wendigo.
4 miles, three and a
Yeah,
half, 6, whatever. The further you go, the better he will.
maybe we might as well have a go at the Browns though, whilst it's there.
I'll stay under 145, Joe. Come on.
Yeah. I've got look,
If he's an over 145 horse by next March, I give up.
yeah, no, he will be. He will be. He's
Come on, Joe. We all know he'd be under the 145 for National Hunt Chase.
Is he with Jamie Snowden?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's going down the Browns route because as well, when we were turning for home in the Bartlett, Sheehan nearly fell off, didn't he? Got the interference Big Westerner.
Maybe the first time Sheehan fell off a horse.
Lost about 10 lengths and then flew home again later. So we'd have definitely been up there fighting behind DeVoe and the Big Westerner, a few lengths behind sort of things. We didn't finish far behind in 5th anyway. So yeah, exciting times. Why not? Let's go to Cheltenham. Boys, anything else in the Browns at all from anyone?
No, but I've just seen Django Base 22-1 for the Ryanair. It's a disgrace. Anyway, move on.
Browns horse? James, you've got a Browns one? Browns horse?
It's final demand of yellow clay and not Nelson Ruth.
Yeah, okay. Sean?
Yeah, mine unfortunately would be final demand after banging the drum about him earlier on. I can't jump out the ship now.
Well, Lean, I am sorry that you asked for a long shot and the boys
The Cowabunga, that would be our one in the article.
There we go. That's what we wanted.
Bunga in the Arkle,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Happy days. Right, I think that is everything. Are there any horses we've missed? Any quick fire? Bambino Fever, boys. Good enough for a Supreme?
No.
Oh, lads, what's this about now? I'm getting really lost. I don't know how she doesn't just turn up in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle.
Mayor's Novice Hurdle.
Yeah, see that's absolutely where I'm at, Sean. And I don't see any hope in hell that she is still the best 2-miler come March, considering what we're about to see flood over from France, etc.
Yeah.
Surely not.
Unless I have read Willie Mullins wrong in the last 10 years, there's not a fucking hope she's
Yeah.
in that Supreme.
The Mayor's Novice will suit her better because she's come from bumpers and it's more of a stairs race than a speed race with the Supreme. Well, no, the Supreme is more stairs race than which is like you're going about the 2 miles 5 of a Ballymore or whatever.
But you call it
more of a speed race.
She's like taking on mares compared to Geldings.
She jumps a hurdle. She's a good thing for the Mayor's Novice.
I said she had no chance in the bumper, but it could turn out to be a pretty poor bumper. I don't know you lot think of that one.
There's a lot of potential down the back of the field, though, Joe.
Yeah,
I think there's a few.
You mentioned one there is a Bartlett horse. I think
maybe.
Game of Inches is going to be the horse that will probably win the race that Final Man won at the Dublin Race Festival.
Okay.
He screams the same kind of horse, doesn't he? He's big, huge, massive yoke.
Yeah, sure.
Right, we'll move on to the quickfire end. The main championship races. Sean Dunne, champion hurdle. Go. One word. Winner. Come on.
Lassie Mouth.
Champion Chase.
Championship. Is Sergino back? Is he coming back?
Don't even know if he's alive at this point.
Yeah, like if he's back, yes, he was unbelievable first time out.
Ryanair easy.
Fact of all.
Stairs hurdle.
Stayers hurdle. Ballybourne.
Gold Cup.
Galloping the shop.
Liam with his big Chango Bay hitting him. Champion hurdle.
The New Lion.
Champion Chase.
Sergina.
Ryanair easy.
Fact of
Stairs hurdle.
Jasmine DeVoe.
And the Gold Cup.
The King. Galloping Shop.
Joseph. Champion hurdle.
Let's go William Money. No, we'll go Coppet the board. We'll go Coppet.
Okay. Champion Chase.
Marie National.
Ryanair.
Fact far.
Stairs hurdle.
Jimmy DeSoy.
I love that. I really like that one. And of course, he wouldn't say it as a dark horse, would he?
Oh, Galopan. Let's have it back. That'd be great.
All right. The New Lion, Sergino, back to file, Ballyburn, and I know the way you're thinking.
You have to have a little roll up on all of those. Just a couple of quid.
No, I think that is the end of our 2-hour-long National Hunt season preview. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to my two esteemed colleagues, Mr. Sir Tipstar, Bay, Django, Regent Stroll,
I'm
Colwell, I love Paul Nichols, Nicky Henderson,
I'm
Sir
really-
Tipster, Liam. Thank you again for your great insight.
And I didn't even mention Jazzy Matty once
Oh,
Yeah.
until now.
Yeah, or the great double I give you. Yeah, but you praise Sean for giving you Kopek de Boer for a thing, but you don't praise me for giving you a good Tralee double. Anyway, but
So needy,
we'll leave
James.
that for another day.
Really double, like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Stumptown.
It is, yeah. It's passed on to my Telegram as well. They were all
Wake
very
up,
grateful,
Joe. Wake
JD.
up,
You
Joe.
were
Just because
thanked.
you lived in Ireland behind a bush for a while, but anyway.
Hey, I came up and saw you. We had a good time and no.
Yeah, we
didn't
did.
we?
Yeah.
Good crap.
Thank you, Joe. Talk to you later. Thanks for your input. And to our special guests, Mr. Sean Dunne, thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jay. It was great to be on. Anything jumps at all when this flat stuff is on is unbelievable. So roll on next season. What the countdown is on? 4 or 5 months. What we got? 5 months to go.
Yeah. Thought you meant to.
Not long now. Right, that's the end of this, and we will see you next week for more shows.